And there is, what? Looks like there's 25 of them. So it looks like maybe 25 crazy movie theories. All right? So let's take a look, shall we? Let's see how many of these I believe.
The Pixar shared universe. Every Pixar movie exists in the same timeline, according to this theory. It begins with Brave, where magic is introduced through the witch and her shape-shifting. That magic mutates animals and objects, leading to intelligent life forms like the bugs in a bug's life. Over centuries, artificial intelligence develops, giving rise to the sentient toys in Toy Story and the cars in Cars. Eventually, humans ruin Earth, which leads to WALL-E, where humans abandon the planet. After Earth recovers, animals re-emerge as dominant, like in Ratatouille and Finding Nemo. The theory ends with Monsters, Inc., where monsters exist far in the future and use doors to time travel back for energy. Boo is thought to be the witch from Brave, trying to find Sully again. Jar Jar Binks is a Sith Lord. This theory...
Okay. Okay, so I know that there is sort of like a Pixar shared universe, but I don't think in quite the way that this theory is operating. Like, the one theory that I heard is, like, the Cars universe is post-apocalyptic. Like, that whole thing about the machines rising and, or, like, humans have, like, mutated / evolved into cars. That's one theory that I heard. But, they do, like, cross things over in their, you know, like, they do, like, Easter eggs from other Pixar movies in their other stuff. I don't know about all of that. I'm not sure about all that, like, the entirety of the Pixar universe is interconnected. It's kind of more like they're aware of one another. It's almost, yeah, it's like that, and that's what I'm referring to, Silver. It's like they'll reference other Pixar movies in Pixar movies, and yeah, it's like they make references, so it's more like they're aware of the other universe. So yeah, exactly, Rob. It's almost like a multiversal thing, and the various Pixar movies are aware of the other multiverses. So yeah, exactly, Magnus. Like, by and large, was in the Pixar movies before WALL-E. I'm pretty sure there was a reference to Was there a reference to Toy Story in Monsters Inc? I don't recall. Like, there are, like, yeah, yes, the pizza truck, yeah, like, so it's there. And correct, Lomov. It's not that the animals are dominant. Not in the slightest, not at all. It's just that animals can understand people, and people to a degree kind of understand animals. But yeah, Jessie Toy was in Monsters Inc. So it's like there's crossovers, but they're not like a shared universe. It's more of like you said, Raven. It's more of like a multiverse, and there's references to the various universes in all of them. And yeah, Tossork, yeah, I do believe you're correct that Pizza Planet, and by and large, are crossed over in many of them. Not all. You don't see it, like, I don't think there's any of those crossover references in Brave, but in the majority of the quote-unquote modern day Pixar movies, there's crossovers and Easter eggs from all the different, from various different Pixar movies. So it's more like a multiverse. So I'm repeating, I'm sorry. It's like a multiverse versus a shared universe.
Be the witch from Brave, trying to find Sully again. Jar Jar Binks is a Sith Lord. This theory claims Jar Jar wasn't just comic relief. He was a Force user, manipulating events behind the scenes. Fans point to his uncanny agility in battle, like flipping and dodging blaster fire in ways only trained fighters can. He also uses subtle hand movements while speaking, similar to Jedi mind tricks. His rise from outcast to senator, and then granting Palpatine emergency powers, aligns too perfectly. His clumsiness.
No, he gave Palpatine power because Palpatine conned him. Palpatine tricked him into and Jar Jar did, by the way, Jar Jar did not grant Palpatine full authority over the Senate. Jar Jar didn't do that. Jar Jar introduced the motion to grant Palpatine emergency authority. That's the whole thing. It's not like Jar Jar said, "Oh, you now have all the power." No, Jar Jar is the one that introduced the motion to grant Palpatine emergency chancellor powers. And like his flip stuff, it's like, okay, he's a Gungan. They were kind of athletic. The skinnier, the thinner Gungans were kind of athletic. It's I've heard the Darth Jar Jar theory before, and it's my opinion is the Darth Jar Jar theory came to be because Jar Jar was such a hated character. People hated Jar Jar so much. It's kind of like Cope, but not really. It's kind of like Cope, but not really. And it's just like, okay, this character is so fucking stupid. Why did Lucas put this character in it? And it's like, okay, we're going to come up with an explanation for why he was in the movies in the first place. And so it's kind of like a quasi-Cope, just to like, okay, to make it so he wasn't a completely useless character. That's kind of it, I think, with the Darth Jar Jar theory.
His clumsiness, believed to be an act masking his true intentions. He's always near key decisions, yet avoids blame. His connection to Palpatine raises eyebrows. Some say they were working together. The theory argues Jar Jar helped engineer the fall of the Republic, and his goofiness was the perfect cover. By the way, if you guys want to subscribe, I'm gonna start posting a lot here. Thanks. Anyways, James Bond is a code name. This theory suggests James Bond isn't one person.
I've heard this one. This one I've heard is that the name James Bond is passed down, and that's why there's so many different ones, all the James Bond. So it's not simply the 007 code name that can be passed along, because we saw that in the last Bond movie. But yeah, it explains. It's kind of like I wonder if someone came up with this. It's sort of like the Doctor Who theory. It's kind of like the Doctor Who theory to explain the actor changes throughout the years. So it's how BBC dealt with changing actors for the same character in such a long-running show. Is they had him just regenerate, and then he becomes a whole new person. And the theory kind of they probably worked off of that. The people who came up with this theory, they probably just worked off of that as a story beat to explain why different actors take on the role of James Bond. So, it's a code name that's passed down. Well, no, Garrett, that's what this theory is saying, is that the name James Bond is the code name. So 007 is not a code name, that's his classification. 007 is his classification and number 7 of, the agents that are part of MI6 that have the 00. 00 means license to kill. And so 7 is he is the seventh agent in MI6 to have the license to kill 00. What the theory is that the name James Bond is passed down. It is passed to agents. So that's the running theory. It's not a bad theory, honestly. And yes, Apex, I'm very aware that Mason Storm is James Bond. I absolutely have heard that theory too. And that's a good theory. I like that one personally.
Person, but a title passed between agents over decades. It explains the changing faces, personalities, and timelines. From Sean Connery in the 1960s to Daniel Craig decades later. Every Bond has different...
Slight problem when you bring Daniel Craig into the mix. Because Daniel Craig, they dialed the clock backwards, did they not? When Daniel Craig's Bond came out, it wasn't exactly in modern day. Didn't they dial back Daniel Craig's James Bond by some years? Yeah, I know. Revan, I know. Casino Royale was the origin story. Exactly. And then Daniel Craig continued to play him. So yes, in Silver, you're correct. It was like a soft reboot. So the theory works until you get to Daniel Craig. That's That's the theory works until you reach Daniel Craig. Because with Daniel Craig, they rebooted the entire they basically rebooted the entire franchise because yes, then they redid the entire Blofeld storyline. And oh, Penance, I'm very aware that Casino Royale was the first book, and that's why they did the reboot with Daniel Craig. Is they just rebooted the entire franchise. So it basically the theory works from Sean Connery up until oh fuck, what's his name? Pierce Brosnan. The theory works from Daniel Craig to Pierce Brosnan, and then after Pierce Brosnan, yeah, it's like Daniel Craig's like in a different universe or something. But it's not a bad theory, honestly.
Daniel Craig decades later. Every Bond has different traits yet carries the same name, number, and habits. The theory argues that James Bond and 007 are aliases assigned to new operatives to maintain a consistent legend. Supporting evidence includes characters like M and Q acknowledging different Bonds without surprise, and
okay, again, in the Daniel Craig version, it's a reboot. Unfortunately, like everything that they talk about in the Daniel Craig, you have to basically just eliminate. Because there's actual consistency starting from Sean Connery up to Pierce Brosnan. You have the same characters, Q is the same actor, starting with Sean Connery all the way up through Pierce Brosnan. And they actually acknowledge they actually acknowledge the male M dying because in GoldenEye, I believe it's in GoldenEye when James Bond meets Judi Dench's M, he talks about her predecessor, i.e., the M that he used to work for before. So so that's why Sean Connery to Pierce Brosnan is one timeline, and why it would make sense. Whereas Daniel Craig is completely different. Daniel Craig is a completely different universe. They did a complete reboot, and they ported over Judi Dench, and I think for one, was it for one? I'm trying to think if Desmond Llewellyn was in the first. Was Desmond Llewellyn in the first Daniel Craig Bond? I don't remember. I don't recall if he was or not. I thought he was in the first one, and then the actor passed away, and so the younger guy took over the Q moniker. I thought. I can't quite remember.
Evidence includes characters like M and Q acknowledging different Bonds without surprise, and various continuity resets that don't match one person aging naturally. Even Bond's knowledge or lack of certain events shifts from film to film. This theory accounts for decades of films without needing a superhuman lifespan. Ferris Bueller is Cameron's alter ego. This theory claims Ferris isn't real, but a projection of Cameron's imagination. Ferris does everything Cameron wishes he could: skip school, defy authority, and enjoy life without fear. The idea.
No, I'm sorry. No. I don't. Sorry. No, I don't buy this at all. I do not buy this whatsoever. There's way too many factors involved for this to make sense. For this to work. What about Sloane? What about Ferris's girlfriend? She's Ferris's girlfriend, not Cameron's. And the entire movie is taken from the perspective of Ferris Bueller, not Cameron. And the sister, yes, Corby, and the sister, the whole fucking family, the principal going after, this, I've never heard of this theory that Ferris was the imaginary friend of Cameron. It doesn't work. It doesn't work by any stretch of the imagination. I'm sorry, I don't know who it was that came up with this theory, but no, this doesn't work in any way, shape, or form.
Is that the entire day off is a mental escape, with Ferris acting out Cameron's suppressed desires. Ferris interacts mostly with Cameron and Sloane, rarely with others, and always leads the days.
What? I'm sorry, what? Ferris literally interacts with everybody. When they're at the restaurant, it's Ferris who interacts with the maitre d'. When it's his parents, it's Ferris who interacts with the parents. It's Ferris who calls the school. He interacts with the sister. He interacts like none of this makes sense. Absolutely no. This doesn't work. Do I agree that Ferris is who Cameron wishes he could be? Sure. That's kind of part of the movie. That kind of like a part of the movie of Ferris Bueller's Day Off is that it's Cameron. A plot line there is that Cameron does wish he could be Ferris. That is a plot line in there, but it's not because Ferris is his imaginary friend. It's that he wishes that he could be Ferris. He is jealous of Ferris being able to do whatever he wants. That is a plot line of the movie, but not because he's his imaginary friend. It's because he's his best friend, and Ferris is outgoing and Cameron is not. So, yeah, also true, Garrett. Yeah, Cameron's out of the movie after his father's car is straight. So it's like, it doesn't work. It just doesn't work.
Events. When things go wrong, it's Cameron who panics, not Ferris. Ferris seems unrealistically confident, charming, and lucky.
Well, hey, wait.
Wrong, it's Cameron who panics, not...
Yeah, it's Cameron that panics because the car is his stepfather's, or this car is his dad's, not his. Why would Ferris panic? Oh, hang on a second, chat. Sorry, no, sorry about that. I caught a glimpse of something out my window that I thought was smoke. And I was like, is something on fire outside? But no, it's just like mist combined with like fog from the weather. Look like smoke. Everything's fine. Don't worry. Everything's fine. There's no smoke. There's no fire. There's no nothing. It's just that the view of my window, it looked like smoke, but it was just like mist. Don't worry. Everything's fine. No worries. But anyway, as I was saying, yeah, Cameron panics because the Ferrari is his dad's, not Ferris's. Why would Ferris freak out? It's not his father's car. Ferris is not going to be the one to get an ass ripping for that. So of course Cameron's going to flip the fuck out. And no, Conga, it is not. You can dream, but it's not.
Ferris. Ferris seems unrealistically confident, charming, and lucky, traits Cameron lacks. Even the confrontation with Cameron's dad is framed as a turning point, with Ferris encouraging him to stand up for himself. The theory treats the...
Oh god, are we getting debated by AI? Oh god, are we getting debated by AI again? There was no confrontation with his father. You never meet the father in the movie. The father was just this omnipresent form of it. This is his dad's car. Oh dear God, I hope we're not getting debated. But there was maybe he's talking about Cameron's breaking point where Cameron loses it about the car and starts going off by saying that, by yelling at the idea of his father saying, "Who do you love? You love the car more than me." Maybe that's what that's what he's referring to. Is that basically Cameron's crash out at the end of the movie? Oh, Gore, some of the videos we've watched is basically narrated by AI. It's the videos are put together using AI, and what they talk about and what's on screen are totally different things. Maybe, but I'll do the benefit of the doubt right now and say that the video is referring to Cameron's crash out about the car and how he knows his dad loves the car more than him, and I'll go with that.
the film as a psychological journey rather than just a teen comedy. The Joker is a war veteran. This theory argues that the Joker in The Dark Knight shows signs of military experience. He uses explosives, firearms, and interrogation tactics with disturbing precision. He plans coordinated attacks, executes them flawlessly, and adapts quickly. Skills often linked.
Yeah, I've heard of this theory before. It's not a bad theory, honestly. This one actually is not a bad theory that the Joker has some kind of military experience. Yeah, it's because that's all thing. Correct, Penis. The Joker is an anarchist, but he may have been in the military previously, and that's how he knows about weapons, how he knows about tactics, how he knows about doing the planning. But the whole thing is, Joker's backstory is a mystery. That's the whole point, is nobody knows what his history is. He is an unreliable narrator whenever he tells anything involving his backstory. So the idea that maybe he was a soldier is possible. It's one that makes sense.
To special forces. His knowledge of chaos theory and psychological warfare suggests tactical training. The theory highlights his body language, discipline under pressure, and use of diversion, all signs of a soldier. His scars, possibly battlefield injuries. He mocks order, hinting at trauma from following it. He targets symbols of authority, like police and politicians, possibly out of disillusionment. Some fans believe his past involves dishonorable discharge or betrayal. The Joker's madness, according to the theory, is rooted in post-war trauma. Jack is a time traveler. This theory says Jack
Okay, I've heard this one. Okay, let me see if I can remember how this one goes. The way this one goes is, it has something to do with the ticket, I think. Yeah, Baconaire, I think that's where I might have heard too, that he's a time traveler, that it was something like did he get the ticket? Oh, I can't remember the exact theory. I'll let this play out, but I have heard this theory as well. It had something to do with him acquiring the ticket for the Titanic.
Dawson came from the future to save Rose. He mentions landmarks like the Santa Monica Pier and Lake Wissota.
Oh, that's right. He mentioned shit that wasn't even built. Yes, Swatter. That's it. He talks about things that haven't come into existence yet. So yeah, the Santa Monica Pier. I forget what the specific thing, but the theory is that he traveled back in time, and that Rose actually died on the Titanic. So he travels back in time to make sure that she survives, and for whatever reason, whatever his reasoning is, she can save her so she could throw the jewelry into the ocean. But yeah, it's like that's what it was. He references things that don't exist in the time period.
Places that didn't exist in 1912. His haircut and rucksack style also don't match the era. Jack has no documented history before boarding, and he shows up just in time to prevent Rose from jumping. He guides her through huge life changes, then disappears completely. Fans believe his mission.
Okay, disappears completely is not exactly correct. Yeah, he fucking died, okay? It's not like, he saves her and then disappears. But motherfucker, he dies in the freezing cold Arctic water. There's a bit of a fucking difference there. And Revan, it's possible, James Cameron actually did a lot of significant research for Titanic. In fact, James Cameron made sure, he actually paid really good attention to detail in many respects. The sky in the scene where the Titanic goes down, where you can see the night sky, is actually the night sky from that, it is actually the night sky from from that exact date of when the Titanic downed. He actually researched what the night sky looked like. He went back through astrological charting and actually figured out and got what the night sky would look like the night the Titanic went down, and that is the night sky that you see in the movie. So the stars, the positioning of all the stars, is accurate to what happened. And yes, this is just another person that was hanging onto the door, and this could be a behind the scenes thing. This shot could be a behind the scenes shot, and this is a diver holding the door. That's what we're probably this could be what we're seeing here, is that we're just seeing we could be seeing a behind the scenes shot. That's all.
Was to make sure Rose survived, ensuring the timeline stayed
behind the
intact.
scenes.
His presence alters key events on the ship, and he never tries to save himself, only her. Even his ticket was won last minute, like fate placed him there. The theory frames Jack as a guardian.
Wait. What? Is he won the ticket like fate placed him there? Well, that's not exactly time traveler worthy. Yeah, he won it in poker, but he said he won his ticket like fate placed him there. It's like, I don't know how that goes with the time travel theory, because he would have to know exactly what hand that person was playing in order to win the ticket, and maybe, I mean, theoretically, yeah, if you could do multiple jumps with a time travel machine, like time travel back, know what the hand he was going to have, then time travel back again, so you play it, and you'll know what hand it maybe.
Shaped by future knowledge, Kevin McCallister becomes Jigsaw. This theory claims the
This
clever
one
kid
I've
from
heard.
Home Alone grows up to be the sadistic
Yep.
mastermind from Saw.
This one I've heard, and you know what? It kind of works. Honestly, this theory does work. I could see Kevin McCallister growing up to be Jigsaw and changing his name to John Kramer. I mean, out of what we've seen so far, this is a theory that really works. Revan, I'm pretty sure it is. I'm pretty sure it is in this one. But yeah, this is one theory that
Kevin's
I think
traps
works.
are brutal, calculated, and way too advanced for a child. He smiles as intruders suffer, showing signs of emotional detachment. He's
Oh, okay. He smiles at the intruder's pain. That's not showing emotional detachment. That's showing that the 80s kids were fucking psychopaths. That was just 80s kids, okay? 80s kids laughing at the pain of adults. Yeah, that's normal. That's just normal 80s kids. I'm sorry. That's not an indication of psychopathy. That's just your typical 80s 8 or 10-year-old. Okay? Let's be real here. Let's call it like it is. Okay?
emotional detachment. He's left alone often, with no support system, which could fuel psychological damage. Jigsaw shares Kevin's love.
Wait. He's left alone off the what? This was literally the first time this ever happened. Well, technically two if you count Home Alone 2. But he's not left alone often. This is the one part where no, this doesn't work. Take this out of the equation though, and yes, I could see Jigsaw being Kevin McCallister. This though, he's not left alone often. It was literally the 2 movies and that was it.
Alone often, with no support system, which could fuel psychological damage. Jigsaw shares Kevin's love for homemade devices designed to punish and teach lessons. Both characters use recorded messages, voice changers, and personal tests. Jigsaw even favors
Okay, now he's reaching. Now he's reaching. You were on a good track there. And then you had to keep pushing it. Now you're reaching into areas that don't exist. It makes much more sense that Kevin McCallister, was Jigsaw and he grew up. He grew up and maybe he changed his name and went through that event that fucked him up and started becoming the Jigsaw Kill. Like that in and of itself worked. Now you're reaching. Say Kevin McCallister was testing the wet bandits / the sticky bandits. I'm sorry, what?
old buildings like Kevin used. The timeline could fit too. Kevin would be an adult by the early 2000s. The theory argues Kevin's childhood trauma evolved into a twisted sense of justice. It paints a disturbing arc from prankster to killer. Breaking Bad is a prequel to The Walking.
Okay, actually, well, you know what? You know what? That last part works. That last part actually works. That his childhood shaped him into a twisted sense of justice. Think about it. In both movies, the events of both movies happen because he got bullied by his older brother. So because of his older brother's bullying, it results in what happened in both movies. So that last statement actually kind of holds up. That does.
Sense of justice. It paints a disturbing arc from prankster to killer. Breaking Bad is a prequel to The Walking Dead. Yes, it's a television show, but this theory was too wild to leave out. It claims the blue meth from Breaking.
Yeah, I've heard Blue Sky. I've heard this. The theory is that Blue Sky caused the zombie apocalypse. Blue Sky was so potent it created zombies. It's a fun theory. I'll say it's a fun theory.
Breaking Bad caused the zombie outbreak in The Walking Dead. Clues appear in both series. Merle Dixon sells blue meth, and a character named Glenn drives a red Dodge Challenger, just like the one Walter White gave to Walter Jr.
Okay, I did not see all of Breaking Bad. I think I only saw season 1 of Breaking Bad. Wait! Did Merle sell blue meth? Did Merle have blue meth in The Walking Dead? I don't remember that. He did? Oh. Yeah, you're right, Revan. Walter did burn his Challenger to a crisp. That's what I'm focused on. I'm focused on the blue meth. I don't remember that. Okay. I'm wondering if the blue sky in The Walking Dead is just an Easter egg. I was under the impression that the zombie virus in The Walking Dead was from alien spores. I don't know. I stopped watching The Walking Dead after I think it was season 3. I'm pretty sure it was season 3 that I stopped watching. After the prison season, I stopped watching it. It was the same fucking thing I'd repeat over and over and over again, so I stopped watching it. Breaking Bad was before Walking Dead, Garrett. Breaking Bad preceded Walking Dead. So I'm inclined to think that maybe this is a fun Easter egg. That they put the blue sky in The Walking Dead because both shows were made by ANC. And so it was just, I think it might have just been a fun Easter egg.
Character named Glenn drives a red Dodge Challenger, just like the one Walter White gave to Walter Jr. There's also a character who describes a Heisenberg figure, matching Walter's alias. The theory suggests the purity and chemistry of the meth triggered a virus or mutation that spiraled out of control. Both shows share producers, which fans say isn't just coincidence. The chaos, survival themes, and character overlaps make it feel connected. The Tarantino shared universe. This theory argues that all of Quentin Tarantino's films exist in
I've kind of heard of this. Yes. I've heard about this. What was the ones in specific I remember hearing the connection about? Was it Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction? I think there was a connection or something. Okay, Kill Bill Volume 1, 2, there's some same movie. Django, I'm trying to think if there was something in Django. I've heard about this. That all of them are connected. I think this might be the Easter egg thing. People say Jules was the piano player in Kill Bill. I never saw Kill Bill, so that I cannot say. But here's further, I could see Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction having some kind of relation. I thought that there was something that might have connected Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction together. I don't recall. Death Proof, there's no connection. I don't think there's any connection in Death Proof. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, no, there's nothing that connects Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I never saw Hateful Eight. I don't think there's any. I honestly think it's. Oh, and not just two movies. He was in like four of them. Samuel Jackson was in four of them. He was in Pulp Fiction, Jackie Brown, Django, and Hateful Eight. Not to mention, Kurt Russell is in two of them. Three of them. Death Proof, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and Hateful Eight. So I think it's more along the lines of that Quentin Tarantino liked to throw in Easter eggs from his other movies. I'm thinking that's more of what's like. Is he just like he liked to throw in Easter eggs in his other movies, with the other two. Yes, that's what I'm thinking of, Kaiba. Okay, that's what I'm thinking of the connection between Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction was. That's what it was. I couldn't think of it. Thank you, Tybo. Yes. Michael Madsen's character in Reservoir Dogs has the last name of Vega, and John Travolta's character in Pulp Fiction has the last name of Vega. So these two I think are connected. Like Michael Madsen and John Travolta's characters were like brothers, is the theory, because they both had the last name of Vega. That's the one I was thinking of where Pulp Fiction and Reservoir Dogs were connected. That's the one I was thinking about.
Two connected realities. One is the realer than real world, home to characters like Vincent Vega and The Bride. The other is the movie world, where films like Kill Bill and From Dusk Till Dawn exist as fictional stories that
Dusk Till Dawn is not a Tarantino film. Dusk Till Dawn is a Rodriguez film.
Kill Bill and From Dusk.
Yeah, it's. Okay, Tarantino did work on it with Robert Rodriguez. Yeah, no, Tarantino was in it. Was he, I'm saying he was a producer, not director. Revan, you're saying he's co-director. I can't recall. I want to say Robert Rodriguez was primarily on this one. Maybe Tarantino wrote it? Tarantino could have been a writer on this one. That's entirely possible that Tarantino could have been a writer on Dusk Till Dawn.
Till Dawn exist as fictional stories that characters from the realer world would watch. Evidence stacks up. Mr. Blonde from Reservoir Dogs is Vic Vega, the brother of Vincent from Pulp Fiction. Red Apple Cigarettes and Big Kahuna Burger appear across different movies. Even character names match, like Sheriff McGraw in multiple titles. The theory also explains the exaggerated violence and stylized storytelling. Tarantino's timeline is chaotic, but everything ties through bloodlines, brands, and callbacks. Neo.
It's my theory. See, I think it's more along the lines of some of it, like I believe the Reservoir Dogs of Pulp Fiction. I think a lot of it is Easter eggs. I think Tarantino liked to pepper Easter eggs in all of his movies as callback to his other ones. I think that's more it than a shared fictional universe or two shared fictional universes working off one another. I think it's just more Easter eggs.
Neo is still in the Matrix.
How old is this video again? This video is only 4 months old. This video is only 4 months old. The Matrix Resurgence has been out by now. It's been established that Neo was still in the Matrix. That was established. Now, I do remember. We'll let it cook into that. I do remember, I think it was a Doug Walker theory. I don't know if this was like a Doug Walker theory or if he said like this would have made for a good story. Is Doug Walker, I think in his nostalgia critic persona, when he was reviewing the Matrix movies, said that it would have been such an interesting hook that the humans that quote-unquote escaped from the Matrix never actually escaped from the Matrix, and instead they actually got put into like another Matrix within the Matrix that made them think that they escaped. So, like, the machines recognized the uprising was coming, and to quell it, they basically created a sub-matrix system that they could funnel these people that were waking up into, and that way they could still facilitate their revolution against the machines, but it was all in its own layer, its own sub-matrix, and they were still safe, and the machines still had them, and they were still using as batteries, but the humans could act out their revolution and imagine that they were victorious, and the idea of them waking up would be quelled. Like, that's something that Nostalgia Critic said would be a really cool idea to conclude the Matrix. It's like it'd be an interesting plot line or a hook that would be like really interesting instead of what they actually did. Now, Revan, bearing in mind, Doug Walker came out with this theory 10 years ago, I think was his Matrix review. I think it was like 10 years ago that Doug Walker put out his review of Matrix and talked about this. So it was long before the new movie ever came out. And again, for Doug Walker's, it wasn't a theory. He wasn't theorizing this was what happened. He was saying this would have been a really interesting plot line that they could have used. So it's not like, oh, my theory is they actually are still in the Matrix. He said it would have been a good plot line to have them still be in this sub-matrix. So, but, okay, how are they going to try and do this?
This theory claims Neo never left the Matrix even after waking up. Clues are everywhere. He displays superhuman powers in the so-called real world, like stopping sentinels with his mind. That shouldn't be possible outside the simulation. The theory argues the machines created another layer of control, a matrix within a matrix, to trap rebels who thought they escaped. Neo's visions, sudden upgrades in abilities, and his connection to the source suggest he's still being manipulated. Morpheus's blind faith might be part of the design, and Zion could be another program. Even the architect hints at...
You know what? As crazy as this sounds, there's some plausibility there. And I'm not sure if Doug Walker touched on this in his, this would have made it for a good movie plot line. But, yeah. The fact that he has that power when he's supposedly jacked out of the Matrix, it does make sense that he would get that Doug's sub-matrix theory works. Yeah, and he sees code in the real world. That actually does make sense. It does. Yeah. This actually, it would work. Yeah, and they said, nope, he's just Jesus. Yeah, yes, Baconary, it's been a while since I saw his review on The Matrix, but yeah, it's possible, Revan, because don't forget, only one of the Wachowskis returned for a resurgence, so I don't know. I mean, maybe during the third movie, they canned it because they wanted the Jesus metaphor. I don't know. It's honestly not a bad theory. Given, the fact that he literally has superpowers in the quote-unquote real world, it's not a bad theory. Unfortunately, they go nowhere with it. Unfortunately.
Multiple reboots and cycles, which backs this up. The idea is that Neo's rebellion was just another level of machine control. The Wizard of Oz is a...
You know what? I wonder if this video is using Doug Walker's idea that he postulated in his Nostalgia Critic review. I would wager that the person who made this video saw the Nostalgia Critic series about the Matrix and is using that for this. You know what? I bet that's it.
up. The idea is that Neo's rebellion was just another level of machine control. The Wizard of Oz is a metaphor for the gold standard. This theory says the story represents late 19th century American monetary policy. Dorothy's silver slippers changed to ruby in the film, walk a gold road, symbolizing the debate.
Didn't they change the silver slippers to ruby slippers because it was the first time they were doing the transition from black and white to colorized? Like, this was the first color movie ever. The Wizard of Oz was the first color movie ever. And yeah, they wanted to show off the Technicolor technology. And obviously, bright, shiny red will pop a hell of a lot more than silver. So, yeah, that's out the window. Yeah, same with, like, all of the color choices in The Wizard of Oz were because it was the first colorized picture in history. And so all of the color choices were made specifically because they wanted to showcase the color technology. They wanted to showcase Technicolor film.
Over silver versus gold-backed currency. The Scarecrow represents farmers seen as lacking brains, yet full of practical wisdom. The Tin Man stands for industrial workers, dehumanized by factory labor. The Cowardly Lion is believed to be William Jennings Bryan, a political figure known for bold speeches but little impact. Emerald City symbolizes Washington, D.C., and the Wizard is a powerless political leader hiding behind illusions. Even the journey itself is viewed as a struggle to balance economic power. Every character ties to real economic and political issues of the time. The Babadook is
possible. That could be possible. The slippers thing aside, everything, yeah. And the movie is based upon the book, so it does make sense. Now, granted, this is not the same kind of theories that we've been working on. This is more of along the lines of the motive behind writing the material. So this is kind of a different theory. It's not like, oh, that the movie, like the events of the movie are secretly like what we've been seeing before, where the Tarantino films are all connected, or that Neo was still in the Matrix, or that Kevin McCallister was actually Saw. This is more of like a theory of why the book and thus the movie was even written in the first place. So, different kind of theory.
Every character ties to real economic and political issues of the time. The Babadook is a representation of grief. This theory argues the monster isn't real. It's a metaphor for the mother's unresolved sorrow. Amelia's husband died driving her to the hospital, and her son's birth shares that tragic anniversary. The Babadook shows up through a mysterious book and begins tormenting them, mirroring her emotional breakdown. It feeds on denial, growing stronger the more she avoids her feelings. The creature's presence intensifies as her mental state worsens, showing up with violent imagery and sleep deprivation. When Amelia finally confronts it, she doesn't destroy it, she locks it in the basement and feeds it, symbolizing how grief never fully vanishes. It has to be managed, not ignored. The film becomes a psychological allegory, not just a horror story. Willy Wonka is a serial killer. This theory claims the candy maker isn't just eccentric. He's methodically picking off kids. Every child that disobeys vanishes under suspicious circumstances, and Wonka shows
they don't die, because in the original book, they don't actually die. Like, literally at the end of the book, when Charlie, Grandpa, and Willy Wonka burst through the roof in the magic elevator, they actually can see all of the kids and all of the parents departing from, actually departing from the chocolate factory. Like, yeah, they are forever changed, but he doesn't actually kill them. They don't disappear, never to be seen again. They can actually see them leaving at the end of the book. So, it's not a serial killer. It's more of like, what's the word I'm looking for? What's the word I'm looking for? I can't think of the word. But basically, he is like judging these kids And he's basically inflicting punishments on them to try and force them to change. Like, sociopath, maybe Baconator. Sociopath works. Yes, sociopath absolutely works. But it's almost not quite though. It's almost Saw-like in how he's teaching them a lesson. Granted, he's not killing the kids. He's putting them through frightening experiences, perhaps, but it's like he's trying to teach them. Oh, I don't know if it's the 7 deadly sins. Because were there 7 kids? I can't remember if there were 7 kids. Let's see, greed, sloth. LB, I don't know. Yeah, and him showing no concern, he's supposed to be incredibly eccentric, and I'm pretty sure the original Willy Wonka in the book didn't have the deadpan look, didn't have like the deadpan that Gene Wilder did. If I remember correctly, the book actually, Wonka was a bit more, he wasn't like so blasé when the kids got hurt or anything. But also, he could also be completely blasé because he knew that the kids might be hurt. And again, the whole thing, if he's a serial killer, just doesn't.
No concern. Augustus is sucked into a pipe, Violet swells up, Veruca falls into a chute, and Mike's shrunk by a laser. Each accident fits their personality flaw, like punishment. The Oompa Loompas have songs ready instantly, as if rehearsed. Wonka never tries to stop anything and even encourages the chaos. His factory's dangerous design and his cold reactions suggest premeditation. The kids' fates are never clearly resolved, and the film ends.
But they are. They just didn't resolve them in the movie. They are resolved in the book. That's the thing. When you have movies that are based upon books, you can't just say, oh, the movie never resolved this. Yeah, it got resolved in the book. The movie only has so much runtime to work with. They have to cut things from the book, and that part where they see all the families leaving, they had to cut for time.
Reactions suggest premeditation. The kids' fates are never clearly resolved, and the film—
Yes, Rudy, I saw that thing. Yeah, when Gene Wilder comes out, when Willy Wonka is first shown, he's seeming like he's old and crippled and walking on the cane, and then his cane gets stuck in the crack, and then he falls, pops up, he's like, "Hey, I'm here!" And that was Gene Wilder's idea because it like you said, the whole purpose behind it is Gene Wilder wanted to present Willy Wonka as someone that from the very moment he is introduced on screen, you'll never know if he's telling the truth. And that was all Gene Wilder's idea.
The film ends with only Charlie surviving. The theory paints Wonka as a calculating figure who uses the tour to judge, trap, and eliminate. The Rock in Fast and Furious is—
Okay. I'll wait to see if they talk about Snowpiercer. I'm waiting to see. If they don't, I'll talk about it. But, well, let's see. We still have time.
Figure who uses the tour to judge, trap, and eliminate. The Rock in Fast and Furious is a time-traveling Terminator. This theory says Luke Hobbs isn't just a federal agent. He's a machine sent from the future. He survives injuries that should kill anyone, breaks through walls with—
Okay, this is literally the entire fucking Fast and Furious series. Literally the entire premise of all of Fast and Furious is people and vehicles doing absolutely batshit crazy things that would not be possible in reality. Okay? This is not just The Rock's character. It is literally every bot, everyone, and everything throughout the entire fucking franchise. Need I remind you about the endless fucking runway from Fast 5, where it's the 747 is literally going down the runway for like 15 fucking minutes so they can facilitate a car chase with a 747? It's the entire franchise, dude. Seriously. Or was it Fast X? Okay, Fast X. Like, it's the entire franchise is just batshit crazy where no one operates within a realm of reality.
Ease and lifts massive weights like it's nothing. His dialogue is robotic, direct, and full of mission-driven
that's just
focus.
Dwayne Johnson.
He shows up exactly when the crew needs him, like he's following a calculated timeline. He never seems shocked by advanced tech or chaos.
Oh, and Rudy, let's not forget, I think it was the Fast Eight, where they actually sent a fucking car into space with someone behind the wheel and they lived. Yeah, the Fast and Furious is basically a live action cartoon. Okay, that's all it is. It is literally a live action cartoon.
And his emotional detachment lines up with Terminator behavior. Fans point out how he heals rapidly and shrugs off pain, all while delivering lines with mechanical precision. The theory argues Hobbs was programmed to assist Dom's crew, making sure certain events play out correctly. The events of Finding Nemo are Marlin's grief hallucination. This theory argues that after the Barracuda attack, Marlin's only surviving egg didn't make it, and everything after is his mind coping with the loss. He imagines a journey full of dangers and unlikely allies, each reflecting parts of his trauma. Dory represents forgetfulness, a way to avoid pain. The ocean's obstacles mirror stages of grief, denial, anger, bargaining, depression, acceptance. His obsession with protecting Nemo shows his refusal to let go. The story's surreal elements, like talking fish and gulls shouting "mine," reflect a dreamlike detachment. Even the happy ending feels too perfect, like a fantasy. The theory suggests Marlin invented the adventure to survive heartbreak, turning tragedy into a hopeful illusion. The bride dies at the end of Kill Bill Volume 2. This theory argues that Beatrix doesn't actually survive her final reunion.
Well, yeah, it's Nashi. That's the problem. The sequels. I guess they're just ignoring the sequels.
Of Kill Bill Volume 2. This theory argues that Beatrix doesn't actually survive her final reunion with BB. She completes her mission, but the emotional and physical toll catches up. After killing Bill with the 5-point palm exploding heart technique, she stumbles away. Then, the screen cuts to her in a hotel bathroom, crying and laughing. That scene feels disconnected, like a final dream or dying vision. Her entire journey was about revenge, and once it's done, her purpose is gone. The theory says her moment with BB is imagined, a peaceful end to her violent life. She fades out of focus and the music swells as if signaling closure. It frames her ending not as victory, but release. The dinosaurs in Jurassic Park aren't real dinosaurs. This theory says the creatures aren't authentic, but genetically engineered hybrids. Dr. Wu admits in the film that gaps in the dino DNA were filled with other species, like frogs. That means they weren't resurrecting true dinosaurs, they were creating approximations.
Yes. Okay, this is not just a theory. It's literally fucking spelled out in Jurassic World. They literally said this in Jurassic World. This is not a theory. At all. Not even close. It's literally written into the script. The fuck?
The behavior's off too. Raptors hunt in packs like wolves, the T-Rex has vision based on movement, and their sizes don't always match fossil records. The theory argues InGen prioritized spectacle.
Okay, hold up. The T-Rex thing? No. That part, no. Because Alan Grant talks about T-Rexes having vision based upon movement, even before he goes to Jurassic, even before he knows Jurassic Park even exists. That was basically, I think, a fallacy in the, that's what I was going for, Revin. This was at a time when when scientists mischaracterized the T-Rex and how it hunted. So they mischaracterized and said, and I don't know how they came up with the idea that the T-Rex's vision was based on movement. It was bad science at the time that they wrote the movie. Science has since caught up with that, and it's been disproven. And it's been disproven. So that part, no, because they actually talked about it before Alan Grant talked about that before he even knew about Jurassic Park even existing. The raptors hunting in packs. Number one, velociraptors never even existed. The velociraptors are not what they showed in the movie. The velociraptors are the size of a turkey. The velociraptors themselves in the movies were probably modeled more off the lines of the Utah raptor or maybe the Dionysus. And they also were not feathered like the actual dinosaurs were. Actual Dionysus, actual Utah raptors were feathered. They were feathered animals. They were not more reptilian in nature. Oh, fishy. Well, that's why I just said fish easy. Actually, I think they were characterized more as the size of a turkey versus a chicken, but yeah, same different thing. That's true, Kaiba. Yeah, yeah. So it's probably more you're right. The Utahraptor was discovered after the movie, so they probably model it more off the Dionysus. The Dionysus at the time was probably the dinosaur that most closely resembled the Velociraptors in the movie.
And their sizes don't always match fossil records. The theory argues in
No, Gramps. I didn't say Futa. I said Utah, as in Utah, as in the state of Utah. They were called Utah raptors because they were discovered in Utah.
Prioritize spectacle over accuracy, crafting monsters to impress guests, not recreate history. Even the colors, sounds, and features are exaggerated. Some could even change sex, like amphibians. Instead of a prehistoric revival, the park becomes a laboratory of man-made attractions built for control and profit. The Shining is about the moon landing. This theory claims Stanley Kubrick used the film to confess he helped fake the 1969 moon landing.
Yeah, I've heard about this theory. I have.
Clue is Danny's Apollo 11 sweater, worn during a pivotal scene. Room 237 allegedly represents the distance to the moon, 237,000 miles, as believed at the time. The Overlook Hotel is filled with odd symbols like Native American imagery and mirrors, which fans interpret as metaphors for deception and hidden truth. Jack's typewriter changes color, suggesting continuity errors done on purpose. The phrase all work and no play is thought to reference the endless effort of maintaining the lie. The theory says Kubrick buried his guilt in visual codes throughout the film. The kids in Rugrats are Angelica's imagination. This theory claims all the babies are figments of Angelica's mind, created to cope with loneliness and neglect. According to it, Chucky died in childbirth, which explains why his dad's always nervous and sad.
Wait. Do the parents in Rugrats not actually interact with all of the children in Rugrats? Like, I'm pretty sure the parents actually... Yeah, I thought that they do. So this theory now is out the window. Their parents actually interact with all of the babies, so the theory is now completely out the window.
Tommy was stillborn, which is why his dad's obsessed with building toys for a baby who never grows. Phil and Lil were never born at all. Their mother had a miscarriage, and since Angelica didn't know the gender, she imagined twins.
Yeah, see? Look! The parent is actually talking to the children! This doesn't work. Not at all.
Twins. Angelica controls every storyline and often talks for the others, reinforcing the idea that it's all in her head. Her outbursts and fantasies reflect her trauma, and her world shifts constantly.
Hang on. What'd you say? The site-based movement of Tyrannosaurus Rex in the movie was from the book, but the book was something a scientist done on purpose for their own safety. It was never scientific theory. Ah, okay.
The theory paints the entire show as her way of surviving emotional isolation. The events of Inception are all a dream. This theory argues that Cobb never wakes up, and the entire film happens inside his subconscious. His spinning top never clearly falls, leaving the ending ambiguous. Throughout the movie...
Well, okay, okay, is he saying that he... Okay, am I understanding correctly that this theory is that in the conclusion, Cobb has never woken up and that he is still in the dream for the conclusion of the movie? Because that's always been the thing. Michael Kane answered this and he said whatever scene he is in, it's the real world. Okay. They even has sequels. Okay, that was, yeah. Yes, exactly. Yeah, like, Christopher Nolan concluded the movie deliberately leaving that ambiguous. Yeah, we see what it looks like just before the movie cuts to black, the top is spinning and it has the barest little of wobble, and then it cuts to black. But it's still left ambiguous.
Dream logic slips in, impossible architecture, shifting scenes, and time distortion. Cobb's guilt about Maul blurs reality, and characters often guide him like projections, not real people. Even Sato's phone call to clear Cobb's charges feels too convenient. His kids never age or change clothes, and their final scene mirrors his recurring dream. The theory suggests the whole mission was Cobb's attempt to confront his grief and find peace. Everything lines up too perfectly, pointing to a layered dream he builds to finally.
And yeah, Revan, that's the whole thing. It is. Oh wait, you have a theory. The totem is in the top. It's the ring on his fingers. On his finger. Interesting. Oh, interesting. Okay, it's been a while since I've seen Inception, so I can't remember that. And yeah, Revan, it's the real world because whenever he has the dream, he can never see his kids' faces, and that was kind of the crux of it. Is the final scene. The kids come around the corner, and he actually can see their faces, and the top then has the bears of wobble to indicate that it's supposed to be the real world.
Let Maul go. The events of Harry Potter are a metaphor for mental illness. This theory claims Hogwarts and the wizarding world exist only in Harry's mind. He's abused, neglected, and lives in a cupboard, then suddenly escapes into a magical reality where he's special and powerful. Each major character represents parts of his psyche. Dumbledore as wisdom, Voldemort as inner darkness, and Hermione as logic. Dementors resemble depression, feeding on happiness and leaving victims numb. The spells, potions, and magical creatures all reflect emotional struggles given.
I can kind of see this. I get the logic behind it. I do. It does, if you scrutinize it too much, it falls apart. But I can see the themes there that might lend credence to the idea that this is all in his head, that he's basically having a psychosis where he's imagining all of this to cope with the fact that he's treated horribly by his family. I can kind of see it, but if you look at it too much, it does collapse. It does.
Physical form. His battles aren't just against evil, but against fear, trauma, and identity. The theory argues that magic is a coping mechanism, turning Harry's pain into a fantasy of control. Hogwarts becomes a mental refuge built from survival. The events of The Lord of the Rings are Frodo's dying dream. This theory argues Frodo never survives the stab wound from the Morgul blade on Weathertop. After that moment, the story shifts into a surreal quest full of mythical creatures, perfect.
What? I'm sorry. What? I have never heard of this one. Yeah, this one does not fly whatsoever. It doesn't fly whatsoever because there's shit happening that Frodo is not a part of. The Hobbit films, Garrett, comes before Lord of the Rings. The Hobbit films are prequels to the Lord of the Rings. Because that's Bilbo, that's not Frodo. We're talking about Frodo here. When Frodo got stabbed, the theory is he died. It doesn't work. It does not work.
Timing and endless resilience. His journey becomes increasingly symbolic, carrying the ring as a burden of pain, guided by figures of wisdom and courage. Rivendell.
Actually, I would argue that the better theory. A better theory on this would be that it's not Frodo's story, it's Samwise Gamgee's story. That is a better theory than this. That the journey and the quest is not Frodo's journey or Frodo's quest. It's Sam's quest and it's Sam's journey because Sam was much more of a lead character than Frodo was. And Sam is the entire reason why the journey is even possible, because Sam is the one that does literally all the heavy lifting. And yeah, Garrett, it's Sam who's writing the journal. It's Sam who tells the story. So 100%, the movie shows Frodo. No, Sam is writing the story, action bastard, not Frodo. Sam's the one that writes the story. And Yeah, that's a better theory. Is that the Lord of the Rings is Samwise Gamgee's story, not Frodo's. That's a much better theory.
Symbolic, carrying the ring as a burden of pain, guided by figures of wisdom and courage. Rivendell, Lothlorien, and even
Wait, does he? Was Frodo right? Am I getting this wrong? Did Frodo write the book? It's been a while since I saw Lord of the Rings. Was it It was Frodo that wrote it? Okay, I got that wrong. Okay, I got that wrong. Sam finished it. God, okay, that's where I'm getting my confusion. Sam finished the story. Okay, but it's still Sam's story. It overall, Frodo may have been writing it down, but it's still Sam's story, much more than Frodo's.
as a burden of pain, guided by figures of wisdom and courage. Rivendell, Lothlorien, and even Gandalf's return from death feel dreamlike, almost too convenient. The theory says Frodo's mind creates this
Gandalf is an angel. It makes perfect fucking sense that he would come back from the dead. He is a literal angel. He's not a god, Revan, he's an angel. Just like I think I believe Sauron was like Sauron and Gandalf, and who was that other wizard that they brought about? There was like 3 of them. Yeah, something like that, Gare. Yeah, I'm not up on Lord of the Rings lore, but yeah, I do believe it's like all of the major wizards. Yeah, Saruman, Radagast. Yeah, I said Sauron, didn't I? I meant Saruman. Sorry. So I it's so easy to get the two of those mixed up. Yeah, like Saruman, Radagast, and Gandalf are all like angels. Not gods, but they're like angels.
Epic adventure as he slips away, turning his suffering into a meaningful tale of heroism. The final journey to the Undying Lands symbolizes passing on. It reframes the entire trilogy as Frodo's last thoughts before dying. The events of Citizen Kane are a fabrication. This theory argues that the entire story of Charles Foster Kane is pieced together by unreliable sources, making it more myth than truth. No one hears Kane say Rosebud when he dies, yet the film builds everything around that word. Each person interviewed gives a different version of Kane. Some see him as a visionary, others as a tyrant. These conflicting accounts show how memory and bias shape the narrative. The reporter never finds a definitive answer because Kane's life is filtered through secondhand stories. Even
this one, I don't know if it's necessarily a theory either. This is just literally fact. Like, yes, no one heard him say Rosebud because by the time the maid, wait, hold up. Wait a minute. Hold up. I'm trying to, oh God, it's been a long time. Didn't the maid walk in, he said Rosebud and then died? Or is it he said Rosebud died and immediately after the maid walked in? I can't exactly remember the timeline. I don't exactly remember the timeline of the events. Because it's been a while since I've seen that scene. But I mean, the fact is, yeah, it's like when the reporter is interviewing people, yeah, of course they're going to give all different interpretations. In Xanax, I don't remember. Honestly, I don't remember. It's been, like I said, it's been so long since I've seen that scene. I vaguely remember like him saying Rosebud around the time when the maid walks in. I just can't remember if he says it, dies, and then the maid walks in, or if just as the maid was walking in, he mumbles it and dies. I don't remember. But regardless, this literally is unreliable narration because the reporter is getting accounts from multiple people. So, of course, the story is going to be different. Their recountings are going to be different. This is not exactly a crazy-ass theory.
Visual shift in tone, reinforcing that we're seeing interpretations, not facts. The theory says the film isn't about who Kane was, but how people construct legacies from fragments. Aladdin is set in the future. This theory says the world of Aladdin isn't ancient, but thousands of years ahead. The biggest clue is—
Yes. Yeah, because of all of the references by the genie. Because of all of the modern day references, from the genie, along with other Disney references. It's that, yeah, and you know, the dialogue and things like that. That's where the theory comes in play, is that the genie being immortal was around during the 20th century, and so remembers those 20th century, you know, memes and anecdotes and technology and film and stuff like that. And now we're into the far-flung future where everything has regressed. And so the theory is that we're in the far-flung future, or post-apocalyptic. Everything has regressed back to, ancient times. But of course, the genie, being immortal and omnipotent, was around for that. And so he's making all of these quips. And I mean, it's the quips is because it's fucking Robin Williams. It's because the majority of the genies died. Yes, exact. That's what I was gonna say. The majority of Robin Williams' dialogue as a genie is ad-lib. Like, he literally, he got into a sound booth and he just started riffing, and the artists crafted the scenes around Robin Williams just ad-libbing the fuck out of it. So it makes and Worm, you're right. He does say 10,000 years can give you such a crick in the neck. That right there is the one thing that does live. That line right there lends more credence to it than anything else. Is that, and in ancient Middle East, when the genie pops out and he says 10,000 years is going to give you such a crick in the neck, there was no civilization 10,000 years before basically that time period in the Middle East. I'm pretty sure there was no civilization. So that line right there from Robin Williams saying 10,000 years can give you such a crick in the neck is probably the strongest, it is probably the strongest evidence to support the theory that Aladdin actually takes place in a post-apocalyptic future. It does.
Is the genie. He makes pop culture references from the 20th century despite being trapped for over 10,000 years. He imitates celebrities, uses modern slang, and knows about technology that shouldn't exist. Agrabah itself blends old architecture with bizarre inventions and behaviors. Some fans believe it's a
Wait, really? What?
Blends old architecture with bizarre inventions.
What bizarre inventions? What bizarre inventions is he referring to there? Because I don't know what he's talking about. Maybe he's referring to Jafar's lair with all of the science in it. That could, well, you know what? The staff, Jafar's staff. Yeah, well, see, it wasn't magic. That's the thing. Jafar's thing wasn't magic. It was like pseudoscience. But you notice, like, his staff, his Cobra-head staff, how it can suddenly start, like, doing the hypno swirls on it. That would be like bizarre inventions. I could see that being like a bizarre invention that does not fit with the time. Yeah. Yeah, Tesla, the slap. Yeah, although, again, I think that was from just Robin Williams riffing. That was just Robin Williams doing his riffing thing.
And behaviors. Some fans believe it's a post-apocalyptic society where civilization rebuilt itself with traces of the past. Magic could actually be misunderstood tech, and the flying carpet might be advanced machinery. The theory argues that what looks like fantasy is actually science fiction, wrapped in centuries of cultural mashups and survival. Everything old is just forgotten future. The line.
And you know what? This is one theory that could work. This this is a theory that maybe could work. The genie is like AI and not magic. I mean, possible? It's like, it's not, but it's a theory that, okay, I can see where they're going with it, and it does work. Yeah, Conga, I remember something about, I believe it did, Conga. I believe that the show did do a crossover with Hercules. I do believe you're correct about that. But yeah, this is one theory that actually I can see it working. I actually could.
King is a retelling of Hamlet. This theory points out that the film closely follows the structure of Shakespeare's tragedy. Simba is the prince, just like Hamlet, whose father is murdered by his uncle.
I've heard this
Scar,
plenty of times
like Claudius,
before.
takes the throne and manipulates those around him. Mufasa appears
makes
to
sense.
Simba as a ghostly vision, urging him to remember who he is and reclaim his
this
place.
does make
Timon
perfect
and
sense,
Pumbaa
but again, this is more of a theory about, you know, how the structure of the movie. This is not like what we just saw with Aladdin. That Aladdin actually takes 10,000 years to post-apocalyptic future. This is just how the story was written by the Disney writers. So not exactly
mirror
the same theory.
Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, offering comic relief while distracting him from his responsibilities. The story revolves around revenge, identity, and destiny, key themes in Hamlet. Even the final showdown ends with the prince confronting the corrupt uncle in a fiery battle. The theory sees Disney's version as a simplified, animal-driven adaptation of Shakespeare's play. If you enjoyed this, I'm going to be posting a lot here. I would greatly appreciate it if you could subscribe. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.
Okay. You know what? That was good. Chat, that was good. I liked that. Some of those theories didn't work. Some of those theories just flat out didn't work. But you know what? Quite a few of them did. That was actually good. We may have to look at more of those. I think we may have to actually look at more of those because a few of those theories actually did work. They did. Some of them hit really well. I like that. We've got to remember this channel and do some more of those, I think. Because those